Hello and welcome to today's session. It is gorgeous and sunny out here in Madrid, though freezing cold. Always love this city. So I hope wherever you are, you're also having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Beautiful weather also. And on the subject of beautiful weather, today I'd like to talk about why wellness feels so expensive and what you can do about it. So, if you're an owner of a boutique hotel, so anyway, less than 50 rooms, and wellness for you is an important part of what you offer your guests, you might have thought wellness is so expensive to do right. And you're not wrong. Wellness can be so incredibly expensive to do. But today, what I wanted to offer is what if the real problem isn't the cost of doing wellness, but it's how it's structured? So, how you've designed it, how you've staffed it, and how you're running it. And I think sometimes the best is to give an example to actually, put forward my point that I'm trying to make. So I will give an example of a client, change a few facts here and there, but the gist is the important part of it. So boutique hotel owners, family run, and it's their patrimony what they have put into this absolutely gorgeous hotel, and they opened their hotel 15 years ago, and that was after a good 5 year refurbishment to that hotel. So their journey started over 20 years ago. And to say that their journey was short of a roller coaster ride, I think anyone who owns a hotel and anyone who has had it open for such a long time, it is definitely a learning experience. And there have been some incredibly hard moments, in also incredibly successful moments. And it's been tough, but incredibly fulfilling. Now, these are people who created a gorgeous hotel. And for them, long before wellness became trendy and the thing it is today, they wanted a wellness offering in a very small hotel. Normally, in such a small hotel, or if hotels tend to be small, I tend to tell them that, think twice before investing in overblown spa facilities, hydrotherapy area, gym, etc., because they can get quite costly to build. And sometimes I'm not always confident that they get the return on investment in a coherent time frame. And I'm talking just purely about the build of the wellness facilities, not the value that it adds undoubtedly to the rest of the property. But they betted on wellness way back then, and wellness was not quite wellness. So they wanted the full blown spa area, the whole hydrothermal area experience, showers, sauna, steam room, ice cave, indoor swimming pool, just gorgeous facilities, prime real estate where they have their spa and wellness area, gorgeous views. And on top of that, they have a private spa area and a whole set of treatment rooms. And when they started, they thought that they would be catering to the local clientele, and that a hair salon, a hair and nail salon would work. And they learned through the years that, okay, that area and all the equipment they bought to actually equip it was actually redundant at the end of the day. And then they also created a gym area, and that they had to adapt certain facilities adapted to that gym. So it's been a journey for them. And on top of that, managing the wellness area has also been challenging. They're in an area where it's not easy to find, people who know about wellness therapies and let alone how to manage these facilities. And finally, in these last, let's say 12, 13 years down the line, they have got their wellness profit and loss to quite a healthy spot. However, though they are very healthy in terms of profitability and what they're actually contributing, what wellness in general contributes to the hotel's profit and loss, what they are noticing is that the wellness facility has kind of is staying short of what guests expect and how the market is evolving. And they really do want to invest in wellness, but at the same time, they're seeing that they have put so much money into building the wellness facilities that till today, if you look at it 15, 20 years down the line, if you're just purely looking at the wellness profit and loss, they've just barely recouped their investment from the cost of build and all the capex expenditures that have gone into it. So yes, for them, wellness feels so incredibly expensive. And not only when it comes to maintenance of the facilities, the build of the facilities, the maintenance of the facilities, things breaking up, and then after 10 to 15 years, you have to give it a facelift, a refurbishment. So it all feels incredibly expensive. And then when you look at running the day to day operations of what is involved, you really can't offer a treatment without a therapist and all the challenges in training people, finding the right offering. It all feels incredibly expensive. And when they reached out to me, they they clearly wanted wellness to work. They wanted it to work. And now this has been a year-long journey. And they were determined that they wanted to tap into the more wellness conscious traveler. Everyone in the world is doing wellness. So they definitely have to be a pioneer in the market when it comes to wellness. And on top of that, what they didn't want to do is jeopardize the profitability because not only do they earn good revenue, but the profits are, it's very, very difficult to make that any more profitable. So they're running a very, very tight machine and incredibly well managed. However, the cost of the profitability is, well, that profitability is coming at the cost of future revenue. And when we started, it all seemed so overwhelming. It's like, okay, it's already cost us so much. I have to go and give this a refurbishment. Now I'm getting, help on board, a mentor on board with my team. And we tried to do wellness, all that mentorship based on the director of rooms, a head therapist who could take on more of a role of the coordinator reporting directly to the head of rooms. But then, we've seen 1 year down that we're really in the same spot with the same challenges as they were way back when we started a year ago. And all of that because they did not want to spend any more in wellness because it was so incredibly expensive. Now, to go and get the figure of a wellness leader, and you might not even get it right the first time around. Getting that wellness leader, hoping they work, hoping they stay, hoping that everything is implemented right. But what became evident to them when they were actually looking and when we've taken, and I'll tell you what we have done to actually show them the changes they've made, to show the results that they've had, they realized that, you know what? Wellness is just not this thing that's going to differentiate us in the market. We truly believe in wellness. We want wellness to be that core driver, and we want to do it properly. And they also open to the idea that we really don't need to be defined by our spa facility. Though it is the one that is generating majority of the wellness profit and loss, that is not going to be the key driver of our wellness offering 5 to 10 years down the line. And then they also realized that looking at what wellness contributes today, that is with amazing facilities that are maintained, but just barely keeping the operations on life support machine. Wellness contributes a significant amount to the profit and loss, to the entire hotel's profit and loss. And they thought, imagine what this could look like in 5 to 10 years' time. And that penny drop for them was when I sat down with the owner and the GM, just wonderful women. And I was like, yes, wellness is expensive to run. I 100% know it. I've seen what you have spent. I know the return on investment. I'm not going to deny that. That said, I don't think any business unit within your hotel is cheap to do. If you look at food and beverage, it is, margins are very, very low. Also, the cost of just running a food and beverage outlet is so costly. Yes, the revenue comes in. Yes, when you're holding a wedding or conferences or groups, you see the hotel full. It's filling up rooms, it's filling up all these areas. But if you look at what the food and beverage profit and loss looks like when you have these big events, it's not wildly different from what the wellness profit and loss looks like. And I would actually venture to say, I'd actually dare to say, the wellness profit and loss looks far more enticing than the food and beverage one. So doing business has a cost, particularly when you're doing a brick and mortar kind of business. But the good thing with wellness is that it doesn't need to be confined to a physical space. You can actually tap into the virtual, the digital space with wellness. And within a hotel offering, given today's day and age where technology plays such a key role, and yes, experiences are so important, but at the end of the day, hotels can't entirely base their business model on a bricks and mortar business model style. I mean, it just wouldn't work on a business model that's built like that. It is going to become archaic at one point. And what's going to help the hotel business model become that hybrid between, yes, physical experiences, connecting with the local culture, but you also have a digital aspect. And what helps that, really, that bridge is the wellness offering. So here is what I want to say, like when we sat down with this owner and the GM, this is how I helped them look at wellness and make them realize that it's not the cost per se, but it's how they've designed the wellness offering. They confined it purely to the spa area, how they staffed it, skeletal staff, and when really people do not want treatments first thing in the morning or lunch times, they didn't have and they don't offer any treatments at that hour. So it becomes a very skeletal structure, only offer treatments when people are likely to take them, and very few staff on board, very little margin of error, very little opportunity to get in additional clients if you're already working at capacity. And on top of that, the way it's run, having your director of rooms or having someone else run it like a business unit that they do not understand, but have the head therapist reporting to them and managing the day to day, making sure that treatments are being done to a certain standard, the wellness area is being maintained at a certain level. That's not enough for a business unit that costs so much to build. So let's say if you had a Ferrari, you won't be giving it to a 17-year-old person who's got a license. I mean, I got my license in the UK and you get it at 17. Maybe in other parts of the world, you get it at 16 or 18. Like here in Spain, you get it at 18. My point being that you wouldn't give it, your Ferrari, to drive. You wouldn't give it to someone who's recently got their license. You would give it to someone who has experience in driving a car like this, in managing a motor or a machine like this. The wellness offering is no different. So here are the 3 steps, like I wanted to say, just to kind of, if I had to break it down to 3 simple steps. So if you're a boutique hotel owner, what you can do to actually change the way you have structured your wellness offering so it doesn't feel like that expense, but actually a strong or a key revenue driver or a strong asset, is firstly really sit down and speak with your entire team, like your executive committee, even if it's a small executive committee, your key stakeholders. What does wellness mean for you? Why are you using wellness? Is it as a point of differentiation? Is it a key revenue driver? Is it an amenity? Is it for service recovery? Is it a marketing tool? There is no right or wrong. This is what I have learned the hard way through my wellness career. I always say that, you can never treat wellness as any of those other than an asset. And here's why it's important to know what wellness means to you without the judgment of what's right or wrong. Because when I wrote my book, The Wellness Asset, an asset by definition is something that has value, tangible and intangible. That's what I've added, but value can be tangible and intangible. And tangible means easily measurable for me, my definition of it, and intangible, not so easily measurable. There is no doubt everyone knows that wellness has value. We don't need to preach on that. And definitely, if you're listening to my podcast, you're definitely not someone who needs to be preached on that. But there is a key part to the definition, and that is that something contributes positively to achieving a goal or an objective. Now, you just can't have something that has so-called tangible and intangible value if it does not contribute positively to you achieving your objective or your goal. And this means, what does that asset look like for you? If you just want to tap into a different audience, or if you just want to fill your hotel during low season, whatever your goal is with wellness, your asset, the one that has the tangible and intangible value, is going to be what contributes to you achieving your goal. So whatever wellness means to you, it's important to establish it. So it's identify the elephant in the room. What does wellness mean for you? And how is it going to help you in your business? And there is no right or wrong answer. And in this particular hotel, for them, wellness is their future. I mean, they believe in wellness. They believed in wellness long before it became that fancy word, wellness, the way it is today. This is a journey way back 20 years ago they were getting on. And you don't refurbish an old building and add spa facilities in prime location if you don't believe in some form of wellness. So for them, wellness was an important driver to where they want to take their business in 10 years' time. And they don't want it to only be spa. Wellness is an integral part. People come to their hotel to feel well. They want to enhance their overall well-being, that also of the community and the environment. So it's a key part of their entire asset ecosystem. And then the second thing we did was encourage them to look beyond the spa. Now, I know it isn't easy because when it comes to wellness revenue, the wellness profit and loss, ultimately, the vast majority of the wellness profit and loss comes from spa related services, the hydrotherapy area, and also any kinds of treatments or yoga sessions, maybe one or two gym personal training sessions. And if you're lucky, you have that gym membership, again, depending on your location and, what you have in your actual property. But what I'm trying to say is encouraging you to look beyond the spa. Wellness goes way beyond your spa, goes way beyond your gym. It does touch into food and beverage. It touches into rooms. It also is part of what integrates you to your community in a meaningful way. So I encourage you to look at all the sources of revenue you can get from something related to wellness. And remember, wellness is just your toolbox. All the services you're already offering, a healthy picnic, a hike, a run, sleeping well at night, that essential oil that just helps you calm down, that quiet little space and a beautiful glass of wine and your fantastic book that you've always wanted to read. All those are wellness tools that contribute to enhancing your guests' overall well being. So look beyond the spa. And the good thing is, it doesn't always have to be 100, 200, or a premium priced treatment. And I'm not saying that it needs to be cheap, whatever you offer, but sometimes just bumping up your ADR by €5 or €10, $5 or $10. Now, just imagine if 50 people take that upsell in one night, you're going to see an important revenue increase far beyond what you would see in your spa wellness, in your spa profit and loss. So encourage you to look beyond the spa. So if in 10 years time you were to look at what wellness meant, what are the things can you do? And I encourage you to sit down your team, really brainstorm. What does wellness mean for you and your hotel? And how could you deliver that wellness toolbox to enhance your guests' overall well-being? And lastly, look at revenue contribution. Now, I've been in this industry now for over 20 years, and I've seen every possible KPI and also every possible method of calculating one particular KPI available. But you will always see spa productivity, therapist productivity, retail sales, hotel guest capture rate. Now, I'm not saying those are KPIs that you should not be measuring. What I'm saying is that they keep you very short sighted. I would say focus on only one KPI, and that is revenue contribution. What does wellness contribute to your entire profit and loss? Spa, gym, any other kind of services that are related to wellness, what do they contribute? And once you have that starting point, see what you can do to just increase them by 1 percentage point. So for me, this is what I call that needle moving KPI that completely transforms the way you look at your wellness business. It takes you away from incremental gains and actually makes you go 10 times bigger. I was reading this book from Dan Sullivan called 10 times is easier than 2 times, something along those lines. And that made me think, yeah, gosh, in the wellness industry, that's what we're doing. We're just constantly seeing how can I make my therapist work even harder? Or, how can I get my, therapist productivity to 80 or 90%? I've had conversations with GMs and hotel managers saying, why aren't our therapists at 100% productivity? You just said, you sit there thinking, this is just incredulous. These are such smart people sitting and having a conversation about really increasing 100 euros a day, 3,000 euros a month. I mean, it's, peanuts that we're talking about. But if you actually look at a bigger metric than just increasing that 1 percentage point, the impact is huge. And in my webinars, I've been running a series of webinars and masterclasses on this. And I'm thinking, and I talk to them, and just to give that example. So let's say in your boutique hotel, your whole entire hotel is generating 10 million euros a year, and 3% of that comes from your wellness area. So that your wellness area, whatever wellness services you're offering, they're giving you 300K a year. Just imagine increasing that from 3% to 4%, just 1 percentage point. Your wellness revenue will increase from 300K to 400K. That's 100K. And normally, if you look at the wellness profit and losses, you're always looking at your 10% or 20%, trying to do the same old thing, just slightly better, slightly cheaper. Or it doesn't work. But if you just changed your perspective and looked at revenue contribution, that 1 percentage point increase, you do that year on year, the impact will be far reaching. And obviously, I'm a wellness person. I will always advocate for wellness. But on a more serious note, hospitality, hotels can't milk rooms and food and beverage any more than they already have. We've already become so creative on how you can offer conferences, how you can offer events, how you can offer weddings, how you can offer meeting spaces. What are the things can you do with your rooms? We have brimmed everything up with experiences. We've done the wow factor. There's not much more we can milk in each of these areas. Yes, we can clearly do them better and we will evolve. But again, those incremental changes. The only area that is going to drastically change how hospitality looks in 10 years. Now, I'm speaking to the boutique hotel owner, how your hotel will look in 10 years. You know, the answer is not jam packing more weddings, it's not jam packing more groups, it's not getting your Michelin star restaurant, it's not jam packing just everything you have on offer or increasing just your rates. You know that wellness and what it allows you to offer in terms of experiences is what's going to pave that way forward. And this is where we go into uncharted territory. There is no playbook out there on how you can do wellness in today's era. And this is a wellness person, a wellness expert who's been here for 20 years. I'm telling you, there is no playbook, which is such a beautiful thing because it means you, with all the creativity you have, if you've done all this work to build your hotel, you've clearly had a vision that no one else had. So just imagine taking that vision and making it 10 times better. That is, what you can do. And the only way you can do that is tapping into wellness. And yes, it feels expensive. But I go back to what I said in the beginning. What if the real problem isn't the cost? Because we know food and beverage isn't cheap. We know running a wedding is not cheap. We know hosting all these conferences isn't cheap in any shape, way, or form. The problem is not the cost, but how you've structured wellness, how you've designed it. What does it mean for you? How you staffed it and how you're running it. And how to get a good sense check. 3 simple, quick wins right now that you can implement with your team straight away. Sit them down. What does wellness mean to you? There is no right or wrong answer. There's no moral judgment here just because you don't believe in wellness or you want it to be an amenity. It doesn't matter. What does wellness mean to you? What does that asset look like to you? What is that thing that has tangible and intangible value that helps, that contributes positively to you achieving your goal, whatever that goal is? Then look beyond your spa. Wellness is far, its reaches are far beyond the spa or your gym. And then lastly, revenue contribution. What gets measured gets managed. What revenue comes from wellness? And the beauty about being a boutique hotel owner, you don't need to follow the cookie cutter standard hotel metrics of RevPAR, ADR, RGI, because your commissions are not pegged on that, right? It doesn't matter what revenue comes from rooms or food and beverage or from wellness. It doesn't matter where the source is. The important thing for you is that you're creating that meaningful legacy you want to, that you've created a business that is commercially sustainable, that you're attracting proud people whose values resonate with you, and that you're delivering your guest transformative experiences. That's all that matters. And what helps you do that is your wellness asset. And on that rant that I just went on, I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care now.